extend the nation's borrowing authority. That's right, extend the nation's borrowing authority. Nobody knows what that even means. And Obama agreed to negotiate big spending cuts with Republicans, everybody, before the 2012 election because he knew he was ultimately responsible for the health of the economy. It would have taken a major hit if the Fed had defaulted on its debt obligations in 2011. Experts now say that Biden is now in a similar position as he readies his own re-election bid. He won't even be able to resist negotiations. The former Senate Budget Committee chairman has also told reporters failure to deal with his debt limit would be catastrophic to the economy, terrible to the economy, terrible to the world. Any serious person who has studied this knows that the economic consequences will be just disastrous. Conrad said he understands why Democrats refuse to negotiate with Republicans on raising debt limit during Obama's time, but he expects Joe Biden to do something and not act like Obama. So, here it is. Experts have said that Social Security and Medicare are headed for insolvency. And let's be honest, guys, it probably is. Social Security will probably end in a couple years because experts have said that both Social Security is headed for insolvency. So there is an opportunity to do something about this, though. There's an opportunity to fix the problems that everybody's being bothered about. Now, let's get into the most important news first. Biden so far is not negotiating any tremendous pressure from his party to either enter negotiations, with the exception of Joe Manchin. Manchin, who is calling up for re-election, floated the idea of reconsidering reforms to prolong the solvency of federal programs like Medicare, Social Security, for Republicans to export, and for raising debt ceiling. He stated he would put bipartisan bicameral committees together to look at each of one of the trusts and come up with solutions for how you fix it. Republican aides said refusing to negotiate with Republicans isn't something sustainable. Isn't even something doable because if you don't negotiate with both parties, you're pretty much acting stupid. Now, a senior Republican aide said that doing this would be a problem. Joe Manchin and Democrats' December's employment and inflation numbers were pretty good, and while we look at the various metrics of the economy, it doesn't appear that we're headed towards a recession. Not yet, at least. One source fears that the Fed is playing a dangerous game of raising the rates to lower inflation. It runs the risk of a recession. However, the most recent numbers indicate that the Fed may be able to pull a soft landing. Soft, easy landing to fix the problems, that is. Unemployment numbers were already down during this time. December, they fell to an even lower number. In the economy as a whole, well, fell again. Hourly job wages growth in December fell from 5 to 4%, and it's not spectacular news for workers, but it's something better than nothing. It shows that at least Joe Biden is trying to do something for the people. Now, besides that, I also want to say that even though Jerome Powell has acknowledged that there is no evidence that wage growth caused or 7% 5 times since it was introduced in 1975, the 2022 COLA in comparison was only 5.9%. Next year's increase represents the agency's attempt to keep up with ongoing inflation. The adjustment is determined annually by shifts in the Consumer Price Index, which charts year-over-year fluctuations for goods and services. Since 1975, everybody, Social Security benefits have been adjusted automatically each year based on fluctuations in inflation, as determined by the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. The Social Security Administration compares the average CPIW in 3 months of the third quarter of the current year to the same time frame in the year prior. One expert even told CNN News that COLA increase is a valuable feature that keeps retirees from truly being tied to a fixed income when managing expenses. The CPIW was also 8.5% in July and dipped down to 8.3%. And so with 2023 COLA, it's 8.7%. Predictions are fluctuating greatly each year, and the nonpartisan committee responsible for our budget estimated benefits would increase by as much as 10.8%. So in July, the organization's senior policy director predicted that if inflation remained on its current trajectory, the increase would be 11% higher, the highest ever. And by August, Richard Johnson, director of the Retirement Policy Program, told American Rescue Plan that somewhere in the 9% range is probably a reasonable guess. The COLA goes into effect with December benefits, which appear in checks delivered in January 2023. Social Security payments are made on Wednesdays, following a rollout schedule based on the beneficiary's birthday. For people who receive Social Security benefits, there is a letter coming in the mail that you will want to keep an eye out for. The administration is already sending out letters throughout December, regardless of the cost of living adjustment coming in January. You may need it for a number of things, including proof of benefit amount when applying for loans or energy assistance. The letter notifies beneficiaries of their 2023 benefit amount, and if your COLA payment is more or less than you expected, you can make an appeal to the SSA. And your COLA letter or COLA e-letter, which tool enables people whose incomes are $73,000 or less to file a return online for free. Individuals whose incomes are below $12,000 and couples whose incomes are below $25,000 may be able to file a tax return to claim the recovery rebate credit, which covers any stimulus payment amounts from 2021 that they may have missed and the child tax credit as well. In an effort to help families fight inflation, the New York governor has also announced last month that people in New York will receive an average payment of $270 through the state tax credit program. As part of the 2022-2023 New York State budget, New York taxpayers could receive a check for two different payments under the Empire State Child Credit and the Earned Income Credit. And while the payments will come out as relief for many, most of the state's nearly 20 million residents are eligible. Around 1.75 million low-income New Yorkers and families are eligible for payments. This program will actually put money back into the pockets of nearly 2 million New York families struggling to make ends meet in the face of the crisis. And also, beginning this fall, around 3 million people in Georgia can expect a check of $350 to arrive in their bank, and that's because the governor has released up to $1 billion in crisis aid to send people funds to deal with inflation. Despite nearly $3 billion in excess revenues flowing back to taxpayers next month, Massachusetts residents are already urging for more financial relief from lawmakers at least. Currently eligible residents can expect to receive a rebate that is 13% of their 2021 state income tax liability, with the average amount at. But now inflation has fallen every month since June 2022, and major Wall Street firms only see a dwindling prospect that higher interest rates will cause a recession this year. And stock indexes have climbed near levels not seen in more than a year. But with the Fed poised to raise the rates this week for the 11th time in 16 months, it's an open question of exactly how much their aggressive moves have tamed prices and how much credit should go to other factors beyond the central bank's control. The distinction matters as the Fed debates how much higher to raise the rates and scans for signals that its policies are working, compounding the challenges that all the hikes up to now won't hit the economy with equal force or on a predictable time matter, meaning that more stimulus payments are necessary. Folks, we got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSDI and SSDI. New Social Security update, the final batch of monthly payments are going to be sent out this week. Millions of Americans can expect to finally receive the check tomorrow. And several top lawmakers, including Chuck Schumer, are moving forward with a bill. These bills would improve the cost of living for retirees and seniors. And it's the final week of the Social Security Administration sending out payments for a month. If you haven't received a payment yet, it can arrive this week depending on your date of birth and how long you've been receiving Social Security. If you receive SSI, you won't actually get a July check and you should have received it. But for people back then, July 26th is the payment date for people with birthdays between the 21st and 31st of any given month. The average American 65 years age and up earns an annual pre-tax income of $55,000, and the same group spends a $52,000 yearly payment or $4,300 a month on things like that. That income doesn't lead to a lot of extra cash for the unexpected expenses or emergencies. The average American saved 65 to 69% and has about $200,000 in the retirement savings. And according to analysis from the Federal Reserve, many seniors might still need to work even when they reach a retirement age, because health spending